Geen are going at it, and Sanji is quickly pinned down, and the chapter ends there. A little bit of commentary piece. So much of this chapter feels like it's about different presentations of masculinity, or maybe the concept of toughness to be more gender neutral, but I think in this lens I want to talk about masculinity more specifically, and healthy versus unhealthy masculinity. Luffy and Sanji are both very self-sacrificial people, and they don't take insults personally. They don't consider concepts like mercy below them because they are so confident, they are so solidified, they're secure in their masculinity, they're secure in the strength that they have, so they don't really need to prove it to other people, or they don't need other people to know that they're strong or acknowledge that they're strong. Toughness is not just an external trait. It isn't something you can just assume based on one person's appearance. Krieg and Geen both view strength as like the most valuable aspect of their identities. They may not get offended by insults like the rest of the Krieg crew does, but if they were weaker people, then I think they would. The performance of strength, the performance of masculinity, this is something we see Krieg doing a lot. He's asking himself who Luffy, the person he sees as inferior to him, he's asking who he thinks is more king of the pirate material, and he does this twice because he's trying to get this validation of this idea, this perception of himself that he's created. Luffy does not care if other people doubt his ability to achieve his dream. Luffy does not care if people underestimate him because he's secure. But Krieg certainly does care what other people perceive him as. Obviously, I don't want to inextricably tie the concept of masculinity and toughness, but I think in this case, since we are talking about all men and the way that they see the idea of toughness or strength, all of this feels very much like it's commentary on toxic masculinity through Krieg and Geen. May or may not be the case, may or may not be what Oda was going for, but I feel like that's what this chapter really does present. This dichotomy, you know, presenting Krieg and Geen versus Luffy and Sanji, comparing maybe healthy versus unhealthy concepts of masculinity, the association with strength and toughness versus the idea of mercy or honor being not so tough. I think this also just extends to our world in the ways that masculinity has been defined versus the way that it is represented in media. The expectations of masculinity have obviously changed a lot, but these core concepts of toughness, strength, maybe a lack of softness, you can really see that comparison here in these chapters. And that's the end of my commentary. See you in the next one.